Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the bar. After Nick's failed assassination of the president and my subsequent waterboarding by North
Whoa.
as a result, we have finally been ransomed off by our sponsors at the P Diddy Pension Plan and freed for our
Oh
new
my
episode.
god. Oh my god.
What? We need to build the lore.
Nothing.
Our enthralled
that's
fans
just
need an
crazy.
explanation.
That's just crazy.
Welcome back to the bar. We are not dead yet, despite nature's best efforts. I am Duncan, and this is
I'm
the
Nick.
guy. Yes.
I
In the
am the Mr. Chicago guy.
yes. And I am the dishwasher.
Why did you say washer like that? Why did you say washer?
Because that's the way German people say Warsh. My grandpa
Nah.
Zeminski said Warsh. My 83-year-old coworker Mike said Warsh.
Your
How
coworker's
most
a
people
fucking
say it.
elderly man.
Yes.
Oh my god.
It's a wonderful person.
Oh my! I can never work with the elderly. I would push them down a flight of stairs.
Nick, every
What?
time, I think I'm the one who's going to get us like arrested by the feds, and then you add on.
I would just find the nearest staircase and send them flying.
If you're in a position where I have to be your legal advisor, Nick, you might want to dial it back a little.
Nah, I'm new city, new me.
Mm.
Actually, hold on. I'll send you a couple pictures of my apartment, and you can rate my apartment living. Hold on. What rate my apartment out of 10?
All right. Where's your? Oh, do you have to crane your neck to look at that TV?
What do you mean?
I'm just comparing the height of the couch and the television. All right. There's a bookcase with things I can't see well.
Oh, they're my
It's a nice looking.
Blu-rays.
It's a
Actually, hold
nice
on.
looking kit.
I'll send you another picture of what's on the shelf.
Is that a Dreamcast below the TV? What is that?
No, I do not own a Dreamcast.
I can't tell what that thing is.
What on the left, the middle, or the right?
There's something white down there and something red. Might be a
Oh,
Wii.
the red thing is a box. The white thing is a SNES Classic Edition.
SNES Classic Edition. Really?
Yep.
Oh, did you grow up with that?
No, but I found it at a thrift store for really cheap, so I bought it.
I
And
understand.
it's kind of fun to play with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got a PS2 for about $50 once, and I tried to repair it, and I think a smoker may have been like cremated in that thing because the entire thing, like even the motherboard, had like brown tar that smelled like nicotine everywhere.
Oof.
I had to disassemble it and like wash the plastic case, and the bucket it was in turned black like the water. So, pleasant experience.
Yeah.
But
Anything else about my apartment?
it looks pretty decent.
Yeah, it's pretty decent. Now look at the shelf that I sent.
All
That's
right.
all. Those are Blu-rays and books that I own.
Me, Elton John, Michael Jackson, Batman Resurrection, Stanford Prison Experiment. Oh, that
That's a
is a
that's a movie I need to watch.
that takes me back a very long time.
Yeah.
We were reading about that in like early high school, I think.
Yep. That's why I know of it.
Mm-hmm.
Most of these Blu-rays were pretty cheap.
Where do you get most of your bookmark Blu-rays from?
There's a record store local here that has some pretty cheap ones, but also eBay, Amazon, Criterion.
Inception.
Yeah, that I found at a thrift store. It's been forever since I've seen it, so someday I will watch it again.
Kill Bill, King of Comedy,
Oh yeah,
Cowboy.
Cowboy Bebop is a show I need to get back into because I watched half of it and then never finished it.
I tried to start it at least, but at least for me, the audio for some reason sounded like it was recorded on a tin can in the Soviet nuclear submarine.
Oh, then
Like
I
the
don't know.
echo, the metal echo, at least to me, was louder than the dialogue. It's weird.
You might have been just watching like a weird dub of it then because it sounds fine.
Perhaps. Maybe it's just everyone else. Who
Maybe.
knows? All right. All right. Where am I? All right. All right. What movie did I have you watch?
I
'Cause I don't
watched
remember.
I watched Life is Beautiful,
Oh, the Italian movie. Yeah.
the Italian movie, and you know what? It was pretty good. I liked it. It's
Hmm.
it's really sad.
It
um,
is.
yeah. It's shot really well. It's really well acted. Um, yeah, that the ending is kind of sad. um, I don't have a whole lot to say about it because I watched it. Oh, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago. But
True.
it, from what I remember, it's pretty good. I would give it a solid 7 out of 10
Pushing
because
my buttons here, Sammy.
in my opinion, I think Schindler's List is better, and I think The Pianist is better.
Hmm. All right. All right.
But it is still a good movie.
Uh, movie I had to watch was Requiem for a Dream. I saw it today,
Yes,
and it's about
yes.
the. It's probably the best movie I've ever hated in my life.
Yep, that's kind of what I was expecting to hear. That's a pretty common reaction to the movie.
It- well, I'll be honest here. On every like professional musical like acting level, the film is fantastic. I will give it full credit
Hmm.
for that, like as a piece of art. But
Yep.
to say this film is depressing would be the understatement of the
That
century.
is putting it lightly.
Now, to be clear, I don't. The point of art, isn't just to make you happy, and the story can absolutely be great even if it's depressing. Like,
Hmm.
you ever heard of Spec Ops: The Line? That game?
Yeah.
All right, yeah, I got that from a bookstore, played it one day, and that
Hmm.
game absolutely rips your heart out at the end. And this movie is like the only. When I was thinking of the ending of this movie, that game is pretty much the only one I can think of that came close
Fair.
to how much the story screws you over.
Yeah, that's fair.
It might have been worse for me specifically because during the 6 months, my grandma actually had a stroke at her nursing home, which
Oh
ended
yeah.
up hurting her memory a lot. So
Yeah.
Not to mention, I just can't stand seeing old people suffer like that. So it was pretty hard for me to get through a lot of it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I have to admit, on like every level, the film was excellently made.
Hmm.
So
I have seen this movie twice in my life. Actually, no, I've seen it 3 times. Over the
surprised you can
span
muster.
over the span of like 6 years, I've seen it 3 different times,
Hmm.
and it's fucking amazing. It is one of the greatest movies ever made. The first
I'm not
time,
going to disagree.
the first time I saw it, I was very mixed on it because it gives you such a like visceral reaction once the credits play. And because I had never seen anything like it before, I was very mixed. So I gave it a couple of years and I rewatched it again to see if maybe I would feel differently about it. And that's kind of when I started to like really love it. And then I watched it a third time with a friend of mine. And yeah, it's one of the greatest movies ever made. It's a movie that you should not watch a whole lot because yeah, it kind of is one of the most depressing movies ever made. It is one of the greatest movies that you'll probably not want to rewatch ever again
Mm-hmm.
because it leaves such a just a lasting impression, and I love that about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's also based on a book too,
Oh,
which I'm
like
not too,
American Psycho.
which I'm not totally familiar with, but I've heard the book is pretty good. I think it's also supposed to be more visceral than the movie is, if you can believe that.
Oh, I don't want to experience that.
Um, I give this movie a fucking 10 out of 10. It's a
Well, I'm
fucking
gonna go.
masterpiece.
I'm gonna second because any score lower than that, it's probably just gonna be my own sadness speaking. So
It's a fucking masterpiece of a movie. Like I totally get why you get such a visceral reaction from it. I get why maybe you never want to see it again, but it's like it's fucking amazing.
mm-hmm.
Like there's nothing like it.
All
So
right,
yeah.
I'm just kidding. All right. Now that we got through those two, I got the topic, my schizophrenic topic list here.
What's the topic?
We're gonna have to piece through this. Some of these are going to be outdated. I don't think anyone, including myself, cares much about the Wicked drama any
No.
longer.
No.
But Game Awards, that time was gone.
I
Oh,
could even,
Shrek 5.
I never even watched it. Oh yeah, Shrek 5 sure did get announced.
Oh my God.
It sure
Why?
did get announced.
I have been waiting like 15 years for this movie. And this is what they think was a good idea.
I mean, I have zero attachment to Shrek, so I don't really care.
I know, but a TikTok. I'm, I'm sorry, but that's just. Why did they make
Come
it
on, use your
so
words.
hideous?
Did
Like
they
I
release a
said,
trailer for it?
yes, they did. That's what the internet blew
Oh,
up about.
really? I thought I didn't know that.
I said in the previous episode once that I don't like Shrek 3 and 4 because that's when you start to see like the skin pores on them and like the grease. That's like when the
Mm,
animation becomes too detailed for its own good. That
okay,
pretty much perfectly fits my problem with these characters,
it's
their
fair.
redesigns. Donkey looks like he just stumbled out of Requiem for a Dream. Like, why does his hair? Why does his hair make him look like a crackhead?
Don't you want to be a crackhead?
No, no, I got enough
It's so
medical issues.
fun. It's so fun. I'm also on
Nature gives me
medication.
enough. Nature gives me enough medical issues, Nick. I don't have to pay to get more. That's the difference between me and a drug addict.
I'm also on
Sure,
medication.
so am I. It's called gummy vitamins.
I'm on antidepressants.
You okay?
Sure.
That wasn't a very strong yet.
Sure, I'm okay.
All right. You can talk to. Oh, sorry. You can talk to me if you need anything.
I am perfectly fine.
Just don't get any dirt on the Clintons. That's
Okay.
all I have to say.
All right.
Uh, where even was I?
I don't know.
Anyway, the advertisement for Shrek 5, the trailer, consisted mainly of a TikTok ad, essentially. Shrek does TikTok.
Interesting.
That's what I'm dead serious.
I mean, we're getting into the modern world of animation, I guess. So I guess it fits.
Uh, I don't really have anything much more to say than it just looks horrific. And
It'll be out in 2026.
theoretically.
Maybe we'll see. Maybe it'll get delayed.
I have no idea what the Wonder Woman topic was about, so I'm getting rid of that.
I don't
know what the
know.
Epstein one was about either.
Speaking of Clinton,
It's just a coincidence, their charity went into Haiti and the number of child abductions rose.
how is it that we've had two presidents within the past 30 years that have been best friends with Epstein?
Well, to be fair, Epstein's whole business model was to, get a network with as many powerful people as possible.
Yeah.
Now, why we don't know, except they said one of the new Trump administration people was like, "Oh, we think Epstein might have worked for a certain Middle Eastern intelligence," and literally everyone under the post like, "Oh, we know who this is." The thing is, Ghislaine Maxwell, if I remember correctly, her dad was actually the father of the Israeli intelligence service. So when people are like, "Hey, where did Epstein get this massive amount of money from?" People,
Right.
there may be a certain source. I'm just saying.
It's possible.
I mean, what could Israel have to gain from blackmailing American politicians? The silence.
I mean, I don't know.
Look, they just needed a little more help.
Uh-huh.
Well,
I think we all need a little help.
not that kind of help.
Everybody should be in therapy. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Oh, Mr. Beast. Recently, he sold Lunchly. That was a disaster.
This is not a recent news.
Well, I want to cover this shortly.
Okay.
Just as a short aside, people found out that Lunchly, the cheese in it, has a massive issue of constantly having a massive amount of mold in it. Now, this is a slight
I
issue
heard
because
this.
it's supposed to be food for children. And then Mr. Beast's official response was cheese is mold.
I mean, he does kind of have
What?
a point, but also that's
No,
also not something that's also something you don't say.
Cheese isn't mold itself. Cheese is made by a reaction using mold. It's like how
whatever.
bread isn't yeast. It's an ingredient.
Right. Regardless,
why would you ever say that?
Regardless, still not something you say.
He texted that. He didn't just blurt it out. Why would you ever say to a health authority, looking for your food to children, Mr. Beast, this is unsafe. There's mold here. This is gonna poison children. And imagine your response being, cheese is mold.
That's a wild response.
True.
But man, I remember that news like it was 10 months ago.
I admit, it was a very long time ago, but
Uh-huh.
it was such a wild response, I had to cover it.
Fair. Thanks, Internet Explorer.
What's going on?
Nothing.
Hmm. Anyway, let's see. I don't know what's going on with Denuvo.
He is isn't he doing a third Dune?
I don't think Disney did any of the Dune movies.
Oh, you said Disney. Never mind.
No, I saw Denuvo was on the list, so
Dune.
I just off
I
it.
don't fucking know.
They're a company that puts DRM into video games, which makes the games worse to play, so that companies can't pirate them,
Oh,
so that people can't pirate them.
yay! No
Anyway,
preservation.
oh yeah, just a little aside. We mentioned earlier on this depressing anime of ours that the Internet Archive was getting attacked over
Yeah,
books.
yeah. We
Uh,
talked about that. We talked about that 8 months ago.
Yeah, well, in more recent news, it turns out that the companies they won that book lawsuit. So now they found
Oh,
out, oh
nice.
hey, we can kind of just ransack this place whenever we want. So now they're like, oh, they've kind of been going ape shit when it comes to stuff on the Internet Archive for some sad fucking reason. They're like, oh, you have an upload of a movie, we'll take it down. Oh, you got this series here that we canceled, oh, we'll take it down. They've like
I've noticed that to be a thing long before this, though.
Well, yeah, but recently, if let's say you use the Internet Archive for backups of, say, 3DS or DS games, you'd used
Okay.
to be able to find almost the entire library of those consoles and more on the Internet Archive, and they all went dead at once because Nintendo hit them full force, and
Do
then
people
Microsoft
actually
got
like
involved
do people actually pirate 3DSs?
with 3DS games. Yeah, have you
Really?
seen the price for 3DS games? Like it's
Well, I mean,
very easy to do.
I owned a 3DS when the system was new.
Well, the thing is, Nick, the unfortunate truth about the 3DS is the best games on it have been taken over by pirates. So if you want to play Stella Glow, you can either mod your console and
The
pirate it,
fuck is
or
Stella
pay.
Glow?
It's a fantasy strategy game. I'm using it as an
Ew.
example. You can either pirate it, or you can pay over $150 to a scalper from Thailand to play it. So people
Interesting.
have chosen the obvious option.
I don't know if a real
So
person would want to play that, but all right. I get your reasoning.
yes, well, anyway, so now they've just kind of been ransacking the place endlessly because they are having no pushback on any legal field. So
Nice.
that's good. That's wonderful.
Nice. That's wonderful.
Well, the truth of the matter is, Nick, if Nintendo can't stop, little Billy from Taiwan from downloading a Pokemon DS game, the entire world economy is going to collapse. So it's crucial to stop him from doing it.
I mean it's my god. What'd you think of the Switch 2?
So, to say this news series is bipolar when it comes to the Switch 2 would be the understatement of the century. Nintendo, people rallied courageously, and it's amazing to me how the Switch 2 is basically cultural. It's somehow the best-selling console of Nintendo, allegedly. Emphasis on allegedly, but it's also to the average public from putting my ear to the ground. It's become like a shit test. Like, do you have principles or not? Like, Mutahar
Yeah.
from Some Ordinary Gamers. Like, he spent
Yeah.
months whining about the Switch 2. Then it comes
Mm-hmm.
out, buys it day one, and then his millions of subscribers are like, "You're a bitch. You have no principles." And it came,
Yeah.
yeah. Now, the I'm not sure how to analyze this. Basically, Nintendo to try and be more original than everyone else who just says price up, Nintendo greedy and bad. Uh, all I will say is that Nintendo didn't have to do any of this. The Switch 1 is almost more popular than the Switch 2 at this than the PS2 at this point. And if
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo wanted to, they could very easily make an upgraded version of the Switch 2, stronger hardware, don't rock the boat, make sure your games
Right.
are cheap and on the card, like with the Switch
Mm-hmm.
1, and I guarantee you they'd annihilate, PS5 and Xbox without issue. Because I think a major part of why the Switch 1 has been more successful than either one has been that, it's 200 bucks cheaper and has a lot more original games for cheaper than either of those consoles.
I
Uh,
will say the Switch.
now,
The Switch does also have a lot of ports too.
yeah, a lot of PS1 games for some reason. Like, it's weird. I got Suikoden on there. That was originally a
Suikoden.
PS1 game.
That's interesting.
Suikoden. I can't
Okay.
really spell it for you,
Suikoden.
but
Okay.
1 and 2 remastered. But that is good for game preservation. Um,
Sure.
now what Nintendo instead did here was they went out of their way to do these things. They went out of their way to raise the price of the console $100 in the rest
Mm-hmm.
of the world. In Japan, it's
In
$100
Japan, it's like
less.
three. It's like 300 or something.
Yes, because this console is running off of PS4 hardware, essentially, decade-old hardware.
Yeah.
You honestly could go to a local store, buy a used PS4 for like $200 at most, or you could
Yeah.
pay 500 for the Switch. They went out of their way to drive up the price of games by over $20 to $30.
80
They went out of
fucking
their
dollars is ridiculous.
no, $90. It is $80 if you want a digital price for Mario Kart. It's $90 if you want the physical game because
Hold
they're
on. Let me
trying to
check
kill
something.
physical media.
Let me check something. I'm not even finding the physical version of Mario Kart. Are they not selling a physical one right now? Or is it just like I mean, I found it on GameStop. It's $80 for the physical.
Hmm.
So I think
Well,
it's
at
just
least
80
from the news.
bucks across the board.
Yeah. Well, thing was, quite simply, we can talk about Nintendo's evil, Nintendo's greed, all we want. And they are evil and greedy. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
This is absurd. They probably would be making a lot more money right now if they just didn't go out of their way to be as evil as possible in this. But
Yeah.
I also have to admit, the general public is being fucking pathetic when it comes to this. And I know I'm being a bit crass when I say this, but I'm being dead serious right now. When Nintendo, historically, it's very common for Nintendo to have a lot of good ideas with one console, get arrogant,
Mm-hmm.
and flop the next one. Like GameCube, they got
The
very
Wii,
arrogant. They put that up against
yeah.
what?
I was gonna say
What
the
were you gonna
Wii to
say?
Wii U. The Wii to Wii U was a big example.
Yeah, they also had the what was it? What came before the GameCube? The Nintendo
The
64?
yeah.
Yeah, they had the GameCube go up against the PS2 and Xbox. That ended in flames. They learned their mistakes with the Wii. They unlearned
Mhm.
them with the Wii U. They learned from their mistakes with the Switch. And then with the Switch 1, 2, myself and everyone else is like, okay, surely the public will not be that retarded. I mean, it has games on launch than the Wii U. It's more expensive. There's no good reason to buy this thing. Surely they'll learn their lesson. And it's the most sold console in their history, apparently.
I
Now,
don't think you realize how stupid Americans are though.
Well, the thing is I don't. To be honest, I don't disagree. A lot of people, do, but I think the numbers are completely
Hmm.
suspect because Nintendo has been doing everything in the book to like hide or obfuscate what things are financially worth in their company.
Yeah,
Uh, I I do think that if you were to pull in like a criminal investigation of Nintendo, that you probably would find like insane amounts of corruption. Uh,
probably.
like they had that Mario clock we covered last episode, where it
Yeah,
allegedly
that's right.
cost $400
That's
million
right.
dollars and like half a decade to make. Well, I do think there is genuinely like a bunch of embezzlement or something going on in the company. If they're not, but they also will keep
I
doing
think the
stuff
issue
like,
I think the issue is that it's run by a businessman compared instead of like a person who actually cares about games.
well, that is a massive part of it. But I also think it's part of the, I think the shareholders specifically have gotten a lot of control over the company. And this is a pattern
Yeah.
that's happened before. And the thing people need to understand is that the net shareholders aren't good or evil, but their incentive naturally, if even a businessman, a bigwig, Doug Bowser, is he in charge of Nintendo right now?
Of the American side, yeah.
All right, even a kind of supervillain CEO like Doug Bowser, if the company falls apart, he theoretically, suffers from that, since he no longer has a job. A
Right.
shareholder can just sell and move. So they have no natural loyalty to a company. Their only incentive is to drive up the rate of growth of a stock as high as possible. Not endless growth, like I'm going to make a company that sells PS2 games and it'll grow
Hmm.
2% every year for eternity. That's
Yeah.
delusional. Their idea in the games industry, at least, is we declare that the rate of growth for next quarter is going to be at least 4%. If it doesn't match these goals, we'll
Hmm.
fire half the company to meet them. Then, when the company is gutted and struggles to make any growth, we'll gut the company again to reach, 12% growth. It's unironically just like straight up, Stalinist economics of we will get the 500 factories by next year, and if we don't,
Hmm.
I'll bury you all. But
Almost like stockholders are evil.
I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to say the incentive you create in this system is going to cause evil.
All right, then I'll say
Like,
it. Then they're fucking evil.
well, quite simply, where was, I am so scatterbrained today. Sorry.
Is your
Yeah.
medication kicking in?
Maybe I've had to take a lot of Tylenol to make it through work recently. So
Why?
anyway,
Why?
my back hurts. Still recovering from surgery.
I feel like they'd give you something else besides just Tylenol though for that.
They
Because
did
Tylenol
that
is
was
very
in the hospital.
Tylenol's like a very general like pain reliever. I feel like they'd
I
probably
mean, it's
give you
what I
like an
got.
actual. I feel like they'd give you like an actual like painkiller or something. But whatever.
Mm. Yeah. Well, essentially, with get back to the Switch 2. I don't know what if I had to guess. The reason why it sold so well, the theory going around is that Nintendo released this in March, no, in June, for the neckbeards essentially, and that they were planning on having the neckbeards in America at least buy out the first wave of consoles, so that when Christmas comes, they could sell it to families, with the new stock. Now, for some reason, their villainous scheme has paid off for now, even though I have heard no good word from this console whatsoever. It's amazing how every person who gets the Switch 2 just I can tell they understand they caved in. Like they were a coward, but they can't say that out loud. So every person, if you look up a Switch 2 review, is like, oh, the joysticks like snap off. They don't just have drift issues. Oh, there's still drift issues. the game, there's no storage on the thing. None of the games actually look better because it's PS4 hardware. You're not upgrading to anything graphically.
Yeah.
No, Mario Kart World isn't that good. It's just complaint after complaint, and it's just say what you should have said from the start. This was a mistake. Console's terrible. Now, normally I'd predict it crash and fail like the Wii U. However, apparently humanity for some reason has lost their spine in about 10 years. So,
Yeah. I will.
however,
I do. I kind of do want to play Mario Kart, World, but I'm not buying a Switch 2 for it.
just don't pirate it then. That
We'll
is
see.
my advice. Don't pirate it.
I already pirated a bunch of shit.
Pay $500 for an inferior version of the Switch 1 so that you cannot own Mario Kart World. That is my advice. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah, I already pirated a bunch of shit. I sailed the seven seas.
I do find I was reading through the Switch 2, and I do find it fucking infuriating how the more you look at the specs of this console, I'm not a big specs guy. Like how as long as the game runs and looks well, I'm fine, even if it's like an ancient PS2 game. But the
Yeah.
specs on this, like the graphical hardware is PS4 equipment. The stick drift is actually worse somehow than the Switch one. Some of the thumbsticks snap off for some reason. It's obscenely big. It's like bigger than you.
That's because they use magnets now.
Well, yeah, but they also were talking
it's no
about,
wonder they would just snap off easily.
not to mention the battery life of the console. Now, I got a Switch. Love my Switch. But the battery has been about the worst problem with that console because it takes forever to
Yeah.
charge. But the Switch 2, I looked it up, it has less than half the battery life of the Switch 1.
That sounds about
Less
right.
than half. What is the point? Like, you're paying all this money for the chance to buy like 20 games you won't even own. Like, I guarantee you, in 20 years, we're gonna be having every white guy doing the soy pog on the console retrospective. They all do. It's gonna be like, so all your Switch 2 cards are useless, bruh. Like you kind of have to pirate it because you can't connect to the Nintendo servers. The key cards apparently you download the game onto your console, and the key card
Yeah.
sends a
Yeah.
signal to the server that lets you play it. What happens
Yeah.
when those servers do, not if, go down?
Basically they're going to be bricked, essentially.
Yeah, and Nintendo was coming out like a bitchy teenager and talking about how if you mod the Switch 2, we'll know and we'll brick your console. It's like, you faggot. I am so sick of these corporate faggots. Sorry, excuse my language, but it's the kind of person who has like $2 trillion who will unironically go to a press conference and be like, if someone mods their console they bought from us for any reason, I am going to spend a precious few seconds from my life on this mortal coil to make their life worse for no benefit of my own over a petty thing that will never benefit me. And I'm sorry, this behavior just seems inexcusable to me.
It's totally fair.
These guys specifically on this issue of like console ownership and games really need like several legal smacks to the face. Because between this and like the Internet Archive, I guarantee you when GTA 6 comes out, it's going to be $120. Then after that, you're going to have people talking about how you don't want to spend $900 on the Switch 3. What are you, broke? I mean, I bought. It's the insanity of listening to someone talk about, oh yeah, I pay like $123 per video game. You're the broke one. Really?
Yeah.
Let's check your finances. I want to see.
They have to be like rich or something.
It's so infuriating to watch the games industry, like watch a game like what was that one? Expedition 33, where it's this massive, release on modern consoles. It's only $50 and it sells
Okay.
millions within days. It's a massive success. And they refuse to learn any lessons from that. You don't have to charge this shit. You're
If you know,
encouraging your
if you've ever learned anything about $1 million companies, they're not going to learn lessons. Are you kidding?
Well, the problem is a bunch of these due to the wealth transfer that happened under COVID, about 70% of all dollars that exist, they don't belong to the 1%. The 1% only make up, I think it was in the IRS statistics, it's like 200,000 a year, which is a lot, admittedly. 70%
Mm-hmm.
of all dollars in existence are in the ownership of like 0.0001% of all of the top income earners. So
Mm-hmm.
when people in the video game space are like, why does this company, they made a video game all their fans hate. Why did they do that? It makes no sense. It bombed. It's because unironically, we're at the point where you can make more money by just getting investor money than you ever could by customers, which is
Yeah,
admittedly terrifying.
we're
So,
just in it. We're just in a
oh,
dark age of capitalism, greed.
well, I find it both hilarious and depressing at this point where we hear like the generic rhetoric about capitalism, how like in class as a student, it's kind of the middle school, oh, communism wants a planned government economy. Capitalism wants a free market, open economy. And I look at the modern capitalist system and it's like, okay, 70% of the wealth is owned by, not even close to 1% of the population. The government
Yeah.
will work with mega corporations to shut down millions of small businesses. It's like, at what point is this and communism like not the same thing? Like when they're
Right.
like, you see, guys, we need to spend $3 trillion every 2 months in order to keep this economy stable. Every single bill of these $3 trillion spending bills, if it's not passed immediately, the economy will collapse. It will entirely depend on two congressmen from Arkansas who will oppose the bill and, almost cause a shutdown until someone throws something to the side and votes for it. Like, this is not a sustainable system, and this is not going to last even for like 10 years at the rate of spending we're at.
No, it's only going to get worse.
Well, you know what? One of the things I want to do with this podcast now, to get more involved, is I don't want us to just be whining on this stuff, or to just be dark and depressing, which I admit I'm, not that great at so far. But in
Totally fair.
I'll
I
freely
mean,
admit,
I mean, I have like, yeah, everything I say too is kind of like that.
so in good news, to close off the Switch 2 topic, Nick, Steam, well, Valve, I've never been that big a cheerleader for them. But after the Switch 2 got announced, they announced that they're making the Fremont, which Steam Deck is?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's their portable console. The Fremont is going to be
Mm-hmm.
a home console like the Xbox One, but made by Steam. Now, if Steam just makes it so that you can buy physical copies of your games to work on it, which admittedly they probably won't, I'll be honest. I am absolutely cheerleading them on to crush Nintendo because these companies need competition at this point.
I have never
Like
heard of
even
this
with
before. Huh. Interesting. I don't know if I'd ever buy it, but that's kind of cool.
the controller looks AIDS, but I
I
cheer
used to
on the
own
competition.
I used to own a Steam Deck for a while before I sold it.
Aren't those things like extremely expensive?
I bought one of the cheaper ones like when it first came out. It was like $400,
Hmm.
and I used it for about 2 years, and then I sold it for like 300.
You needed the money to get the SNES. Got it.
No, that was like $40.
Yeah.
That was pretty cheap.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, not sure what they're going to do or how this Switch 2 is going to pan out, but hopefully it'll all work out in the end.
We will have to see.
All right. Terminator Zero, I'm going to cross that off the list.
I don't even know what that is.
Let's see. It was an anime made by Netflix about Terminator, a spin-off of it.
That's really funny, but I'm not. That's really funny.
I know it sounds horrendous, but it was a solid 6 out of 10.
All right, fair.
Mhm. Let's see. What
Have
was
you
the
seen any
complaint
good
on
movies lately?
Let's see.
Old or new?
Not Gladiator 2.
Ugh.
All right. I'm not sure if this counts as a movie, but I know you're a musical guy, so this is probably right up your alley. Have you heard of Epic the Musical?
No, I've never heard of it.
All right. So this one American college student for a mythology assignment decided to make you remember the Odyssey from Greek
Yeah,
mythology?
yeah.
He decided to make a musical segment based off of that, which then he gradually published into a full-on musical and soundtrack that he sung. And then he went to a bunch of animators and asked them to animate these segments. So if you go on YouTube and look up Epic the Musical, you can find like
Uh-huh.
entire film length, covers of it animation wise from different YouTube teams. And
Yeah.
I would highly recommend it. Like I stumbled across it and the music in that is absolutely god tier. I think you'd really like it.
Okay.
All right. I did try and put in a few more positive topics just to spice things up.
We do talk a lot about like gloom and doom.
Hmm. Well, you got to balance it out.
Can't be too
Um,
depressed.
let's see. Have you heard of No, I'm Not Human?
No.
All right. It's a game that's coming out. It's had 2 demos so far.
Okay.
And in this game, you're essentially trapped in a house that's outside of a city, like right next to it, but still in the boonies. And 2 things are
Mm-hmm.
happening at once in this world. Firstly, the sun starts getting so hot out of nowhere that if you're outside in the daylight, you'll like burn to death, like your skin will fry. So the outside starts becoming uninhabitable. But
Okay.
it gets worse because at night the visitors come. And the visitors are bizarre, human-like creatures. They look human, but they crawl out of the ground and they have to ask permission to enter your house. And if you're alone, they'll storm into your house and kill you. So you have to keep inviting refugees into your house because if you're all alone, one of the visitors will show up and break into your house. One
Mm-hmm.
problem: visitors are smart. They can pretend to be human. So if you invite a dozen refugees into your house and one of them wakes you up and is like, Ivan's dead. He was someone ate Ivan. We have his eyeballs on the counter. You then have to
Yeah.
guess with your shotgun, okay, which one of you is a visitor? And the news gives you amazing advice from the government on who's a visitor or not. You see, the visitors have dirt under their nails, perfect teeth, no armpit hair. Yes, they say that specifically, and reddened eyes. When the sun is burning everyone to death, if someone has red eyes, that's because they're a skin changer and not because of solar irritation.
Huh.
I would really highly recommend playing the demo. It's free right now, and
Okay.
it's a very short game, admittedly, but it is a very creative. And I haven't come across a game in a long while that's been able to establish an atmosphere that quickly and that amazingly.
Okay.
So I think you'd like it.
Okay. I might give that a try.
All right. There's also the Gaslight District. Have you heard of that?
No.
Do you know the people that made the amazing digital circus?
No.
All right, you aren't helping me here.
I'm gonna be real.
Basically, it's this
I'm gonna
YouTube.
be honest. I haven't really been keeping up with a lot of games recently.
Yeah, I don't really
Maybe I'm
blame
just,
you.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm just getting too old or I'm just like not caring as much anymore. But I haven't really been paying too much attention to it.
Hold up a second. It's made by Glitch Animation Studios. They made the
Okay.
Gaslight District, Murder Bots. I don't know why I'm explaining this further since you probably don't know any of that. But essentially, the Gaslight, it's essentially a pilot to an animated show they're working on where humanity, all the world was flooded after a nuclear war. It's about
Okay.
at least 10,000 years after that. All of humanity is dead, except no. They're all zombies who, they can come back to life no matter what. So the main character's dad, who's a mafia boss named Ken, the only way
Mm-hmm.
canonically you can kill anyone is to like chain them to a cinder block and the ocean floor, because then they can't come back up from that. So it covers the main character, who is the only human in the entire city, and the whole city is paranoid about humanity because
Mm-hmm.
allegedly the human being is going to be the person who's going to kill them all. So it covers her and the guys as they go through the city, hunt down a rat, pull a heist, and I would definitely recommend it. The,
Okay.
I don't know how like the animation specifically like combines like multiple different styles. It's kind of like a bit of Chowder, if you've ever seen that show.
Nope.
Getting a lot of one word today, but sorry, try not to be salty. Anyway, so
there's just a lot of things
I'm
I'm not overly familiar with.
anyway, it's about a 30-minute pilot episode on YouTube. I would highly recommend it.
Okay.
It's pretty new. It's got a lot of potential. And I am glad that, with the state of animation being what it is right now, I'm glad there's actually studios like willing to experiment and put great things out into the world.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, that's good.
There's also, but I think we should move on to the main topic, the one topic that will dwarf the Switch 2 easily, the Minecraft
Okay.
movie.
I
Have
never
you seen
saw
it?
it. No.
I've
I thought
seen
about seeing
it.
it. I thought about seeing it, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it.
I saw it 3 times. I am the problem.
Why?
Not even
Wh-
the first
Why?
time. I was originally not going to see it. But then I thought to myself, this is a movie I want to be able to tell my kids I saw in the theater, even if it is completely horrendous. I want to have I want to have that on my record. So I saw it with a friend, then with a group of
Okay.
friends. Then another friend showed me at his place the movie because he wanted to watch it. So we watched a not pirated, Russian version of the movie, which it was still in English, but it had these weird subtitles that were like in Russian, but then translated to English a second later, which, the kind of foreign
Mm-hmm.
subtitles that are like way too literal, like
Yeah.
Steve Mann, the miner, something like that.
Right.
Anyway, it's the Minecraft movie. It's a fantastic adventure where
I don't know about that.
Jack Black, the obese Karl Marx impersonator, he was sick of the real life. He somehow transported to the Minecraft dimension, but he built up an epic life for himself. However, piglins captured him, and the relic he used to get into the Minecraft world, he gives to his dog, uh,
Uh-huh.
Dennis, I think. Yeah. Now his dog looks like a Minecraft dog, completely squarish.
Yeah.
Dog goes to the real world, and what was it? There's the town this all takes place in Chugless, Idaho. It's a
What?
beautiful place. A nice- yes, it's a beautiful
I don't know
place,
about that. I don't think
straight
there's
out of the
anything
dive.
good. There is nothing good that has ever. Nothing has ever good has ever come out of Idaho.
Potatoes. Our country's entire potato supply comes from that state, Nick.
No,
That's one good
I'm
thing.
I think Ireland.
So we get introduced to our main characters. The two main ones is the brother and sister. They're very unique people. Their dad
Mm-hmm.
never shows up in the movie. The mom
Well, yeah,
might
because they
be
went.
dead. I
He
think she's
he went and got milk and never came back.
yes. But somehow the girl is able to own a house despite, simultaneously looking like 20 and like 14 at the same time. It's weird how they don't explain that. Essentially,
Not
our main
bad.
character, the boy, he goes to his local school and he's the quiet kid there. He's in the classroom. The teacher, aggravates him. So they say he can't build a jetpack, that it's stupid for his drawing to have a jetpack. He builds a
Mm-hmm.
jetpack out of the science classroom's equipment. And then the quiet kid on the first day has the jetpack launch. And I'm not lying to you when I say this. The jetpack goes straight up. Everyone's happy and impressed. It takes a sudden arc, goes towards the potato chip factory, the sister's working at it, and like a Hamas missile, blows up half the building.
What?
It causes their. Yes, the jetpack he makes goes up into the sky, suddenly swerves left, and impacts the local chip factory, which is where the sister works. It's the heart of the town. And it blows up
Uh-huh.
half the building like it's a Anyway, then right after that, you know what the teacher claims? Well, you're
What?
very lucky. No one died. Bullshit.
Oh my
Like half
god.
of the build, like half of the building goes up in flames, and they're like, nobody died. No, I don't believe that. Anyway, we move on to our next main character, disturbingly gay Jason Momoa. Now, that may sound weird to say, but they do this weird thing they do with gay characters' voices in some movies where the guy working the auto tune will do something weird to, how you can select a voice and separate it from other people's voice in a recording and make it louder than them?
Yeah.
Well, they did that to Jason Momoa because for some weird reason, like all of the when he's not speaking, like anytime he grunts, growls, breathes, does any other motion, it's like twice as loud as any other character speaking. So it
Huh.
gets rather uncomfortable when the boy he finds the cube to go to the mine and go to the Minecraft world. And since he's the Jason Momoa is desperate, he follows the kid into the mines because he needs money. And
Right.
because of this microphone issue, you see the kid going into the mine, and then you see Jason Momoa running towards him, running after him, and the microphone is just like extremely heavy. It's like it's don't pick up on how uncomfortable this is.
They
Anyway,
probably didn't think
they
about it.
come on. That is not. I understand. Like all three times I've seen the movie, that's not like a subtle mistake. They had to go out of their way to make that noise that way. Anyway, they all make it to the Minecraft world. Our main characters, boy,
Oh, thank
girl,
God.
Jason Momoa, and
Boy,
stereotypical black.
girl, what great name for characters.
I don't remember or care to remember for what their real names are.
Oh, they
Anyway,
actually had they actually had names.
the characters, yes.
Okay. I thought
But
they were just
now,
called boy and
one
girl.
now I won't narrate the entire plot of this movie, but one
Okay.
specific thing I'd like to point out that a lot of people when they saw the trailers were disturbed by the animation, rightly, before it became a meme
Mm-hmm.
and they caved and saw it. But there's a scene in the middle of the movie. They get attacked by pigmen, try to kill them, and there's a
Mm-hmm.
shot in the village when the pigmen they're fighting and the humans, the actual actors, are like side by side. And it clicked why there's such an extreme like sense of disgust watching the movie. It's because there's actually more detail put into the appearance of like the animated characters than you can actually physically see with the human beings. Like
Uh-huh.
with the pigmen, you can see every hair, every crease of skin, like every bit of grease, every skin pigment, every pimple and crap. And I look and
Mm-hmm.
compare them to the human, and the human, looking naturally is at a natural less resolution. The way I can describe it, I
Okay.
it's the most bizarre thing to think about when you realize why it looks so weird. And honestly, it is a little bit terrifying to me that we're at the point where like animated characters are getting more detailed than physical human beings. But I'm gonna try and keep the doom
Yeah.
with that. That's a whole other tangent if I address that.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, they get to the final battle after Jason Momoa suicide bombs a bridge. With the explosions, like
Okay.
they get surrounded on
As
a
you do.
bridge. There's water under it. Jason Momoa throws them off so they'll survive. And the pigmen have
Mm-hmm.
bombs, so he just blows himself up a foot away from the explosion. He later explains later in the movie when he inevitably comes back from the dead that, oh, how did you survive getting blown up? Oh, I fell into the water. No, like, how did you survive the explosion 1 foot away from you? I fell into the water. There is the final battle between the two sides of good and evil. Now, it's bizarre to say, but this is probably the most pathetic final battle I've ever seen in a movie because
That's saying
the main villain is
something.
well, here's the thing. The main villain gets her like thousands of pigmen out of the portal to burn down all of Minecraft to make it her empire. The main characters
Uh-huh.
just build a shit ton of iron golems. They get a bunch of wolves. And then within
Mm-hmm.
the first 20 seconds, they completely shit on the entire pigman army. In about 20 seconds, they kill half of them. And the rest of the
Okay.
battle, which is about 3 minutes long, the pigmen lose completely. They don't even kill a single one of the heroes or their friends at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's over and done with by like 3 minutes in. It, I don't I don't know what I expected from the Minecraft movie, but it's just such a bizarre choice.
What did you
Anyway,
expect from the movie?
honestly, I expected it to be a lot worse because one thing I will give
Really?
credit to. Here's the thing. I thought it was going to be generic bad, but this
Uh-huh.
movie's humor is kind of unhinged, at least in the first 2/3. Like what I told you about, like half the factory, getting blown up by the quiet kid's, missile he
Yeah.
accidentally makes in class. There's a lot of that in the first 2/3 of the movie. Like a villager, comes out from Minecraft into the real world. He gets hit
Uh-huh.
by the boy teacher, and she's like, "Oh no, you're not gonna sue me too. All those people keep suing me whenever I get my 4 grand Jeep Cherokee." And there's a lot of
Like a fucking sponsorship.
well, yeah, but it's also the thing she said this has happened multiple times before. Like
Oh.
that's the teacher of the school, like multiple vehicular homicide committed.
That's always fun.
Yes. The film became a cultural event, with children across America deciding to trash their local theaters and make their local minimum wage employees' lives a living hell upon hearing the two sacred words.
Chicken
Chicken
jockey.
jockey.
What does that even mean? I get it. I know what it is in Minecraft, but what does that mean?
In the point of the movie, they have a bunch of illagers who throw them in a fighting ring and they put a baby zombie on a chicken and have them fight it. That's it.
That's
People for
it.
some reason just like, yeah.
Okay.
China,
That's
China, sorry, China also decided that Jack Black was too fat for them, so they allowed the Minecraft movie into China, but they specifically made it so that every poster of the Minecraft movie in China had to be edited so that Jack Black was just not fat. They made him look like he was built like a brick house. Like, look up
that's really funny.
Chinese Minecraft.
That's really funny.
Hold up,
Thanks, China.
let me download the. Where's the?
Yeah, I see it on Google.
Yeah,
That's really bad. That's really bad.
you know, I won't trash talk our boy Jack Black, but all I'll say is if that happened to me, and it got to the point where China had to edit the posters so I didn't look as fat, I might consider, changing something with my diet just a little, but I'm not gonna,
I don't know about that. I wouldn't let a fucking country tell me what I should do with my life.
well, even then, you have to admit that's like almost an uncover. It's a next level roast to deal
Sure.
with.
Sure, yeah.
Your thought?
Yeah, I am never planning on watching this movie ever. I just don't care enough to.
I think you
I
should.
saw the Five Nights at Freddy's movie in theaters. I think I'm good.
What do you
I'm
mean?
good.
Don't you want to see the second FNAF movie?
No. The first one was horrendous.
Well, I agree, but it's a cultural event, Nick. You
It
got to
really
see it.
wasn't. It really wasn't.
Come on. Next thing you're going to tell me you don't want to see the second Minecraft movie.
They're not making a second Minecraft movie.
Nick, this movie made I think Warner Brothers about $1 billion at the box office. It would, like, physically
So
enslave
did
Jack Black
so
to keep
did
making movies.
so did Barbie, but they're not making a sequel to Barbie.
What are you talking about? Did you not see Mattel? They announced they're making movies on almost all their toy brands. Like Uno is getting a
Yeah, but
movie.
yeah, but that's not a sequel to Barbie.
Yes, I'm saying, a movie's success has consequences. And with Minecraft
Now that
being
being
so
said,
successful,
I would be interested in seeing a Uno movie.
what are they going to do with that?
I'd be interested in seeing their attempt at that.
Just have it, just make it so it's true to what Uno is in real life. A torture device for people until someone,
I've,
gives in and gives.
I've always thought that Monopoly might work as a movie.
Maybe it would. What would you do with a Monopoly movie?
Mm, could be honestly a documentary about capitalism.
I don't know. That isn't really like Monopoly, the board game at that point.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you could make the argument that There Will Be Blood is like a Monopoly adaptation.
I mean, I suppose you could have it be like a who did it, who done it movie. Because as we all
Like
know,
Clue?
well, Nick, it's Monopoly. You play enough games of Monopoly, someone's going to get murdered in a violent rage fit.
But that's more of a Clue thing where it's like a whodunit kind of thing.
Look, I'm not that big a fan of Clue. I only played it once as a kid and I lost. So
I've never played it before.
it is thoroughly meh.
Yeah, so there's a lot of board games.
Oh.
They were never really my thing.
Going over Minecraft. Where did the topic go?
What would you rate the Minecraft movie?
I have no idea, honestly. It wasn't
Okay.
thing is the last third is a generic kids movie, but the first 2/3 are, genuinely unhinged in a lot of their comedy. So I actually enjoyed that. I kind of wished it leaned into that a lot more. But
So
after
what
the
would you
first
rate
third,
it?
I'm rating it a solid 6 out of 10.
And
Yeah,
that's
I
the end
think.
of the bar. Thank you for
No,
watching.
no. Nick, come on.
that's a crazy rating though.
Look, six
I
out
have
of
only seen
ten
the
is
I have only seen the trailer and I give it a 1 out of 10.
Nick. Look, 7 out of 10 doesn't mean no. 6 out of 10 doesn't mean it's amazing. It means it's barely above medium.
I guess, sure.
And it made me. That's what it earns its score from.
That's terrifying.
Anyway, I'm skipping Mufasa.
I don't care
Venom: The
about
Last
Mufasa.
Stand.
I don't care about
Yes,
Venom.
but I do.
Oh
I am the
no.
biggest fan of the Venom movies in
Said
all the
absolutely
world.
nobody ever.
I am. I appreciated the masterpiece
Absolutely
that was.
no one has ever said that before.
Tragically, Sony is no longer able to make the masterpiece movies like Morbius. I have long since
What are you
argued
talking
that
about? Madam
film. Oh yeah, obviously. You know, Unfortunately, we never got a Morbius 2. By divine providence, we may get another Morbius film.
We
I
do
will
not
make it if I
need a
have to.
second Morbius movie. We do not need a second Morbius.
Morbius was so overhated. I'll do it just to make a point, just to spite people.
Okay. That's kind of unhinged.
Anyway, not one to talk on that.
What do you mean?
You know exactly what I mean, little buddy.
No.
Anyway,
Tell me. What does that tell me? What does that mean?
all right, Nick, I want you to use your brain and think through all the statements you've made on this podcast and
Uh-huh.
over the years, and think to
Uh-huh.
yourself, what might I refer to? That answers your question.
I don't
That's all
I
I
don't
can
know.
say.
I have no idea. I have no idea what you're to.
Come on, you know.
I don't.
Hmm. Anyway, Venom: The Last Dance tragically brings the Venom trilogy to a close. Venom dies. Very
Tragically.
sad.
That's
I
a way of
wish
putting
we
it.
could get another Venom movie,
You
but
are never the person who is saying that.
look, they were, fun block movies, and I enjoyed them for that. And the fact everyone else hates them, despite the fact they're above average at most, just makes me want to play contrarian.
Oh my god. There's something
Com-
not right up in up there, is there?
Nah, it's completely great up there.
I think when they were doing the surgery on you, they accidentally operated on the wrong part.
Nonsense. Being very hurtful right now.
I'm not being hurtful.
Have you watched A Complete Unknown?
No, because I don't care about Bob Dylan or Timothy Chalamet.
All right, I figured that was up your alley. Let's see.
Why? I have never showed interest in Bob Dylan.
But you're a big music guy, so I assumed it would be up your alley.
Sure, but like I don't know. I only watch things that are about music I care about.
All right, fair enough.
I did watch Sinners.
Oh, how was that?
It was good. It's fine. The first half is a little slow, and then the second half is basically the same twist as From Dusk Till Dawn. But it's good. It's a little overrated, but it's good.
What's the main plot of the movie about? Because I've mainly just heard people praising it without explaining it.
It's like a history movie about like these two black guys who like go through like blues music and try to like rise with it, I guess. But along the way, they come across these. I'm assuming that they're trying to be Klans members. They didn't say it in the movie, but that's what I am gonna presume. And the
Sort of.
twist of the big twist of the movie is that the Klans members are vampires.
Really?
Yeah, it's a vampire movie.
Is there not any? Don't they find any like issue with that ideologically?
I don't know.
Because
It was
a
directed
lot.
by the same guy who made Black Panther. So your guess is as good as mine.
Because like a lot of the Klan like claim to be like Christian fundamentalists. Uh,
Which in itself is already evil.
no.
Because Christians are fucking evil.
What do you think I am?
I know where you are. I'm not gonna say anything, but
Huh.
I just think Christians are a little evil.
Huh. Well, it was.
Everyone is allowed to believe in what they believe.
Well, let's see. Already covered Requiem for a Dream. All right. Snow White live action. Don't care.
Did that come out
Have you seen the
already?
trailer? Yes. It was
Oh,
quite
really?
horrendous.
Okay.
Yes. They, for some reason, uh, who was the actor that played Tyrion Lannister? The short guy.
Um, I can't think of the name right now. I want to say Danny DeVito, but that doesn't seem right.
No, no. Essentially, there's Tyrion Lannister. He said it would be It would be discriminating against dwarves to have dwarves play the dwarves. So instead, the dwarves of Snow White became the seven magical little people, and somehow they thought this was a good idea. That ended terribly. The main actress for Snow
That's kind
White
of funny.
couldn't keep her mouth shut for more than 3 seconds, and would constantly talk about how, if you're a Trump supporter, I wish you, death and hardship and all this other shit. Disney didn't, tell her to shut up for some reason, despite the fact she probably cost this movie several $100 billion. Like, do you remember the live action? Do you remember the live action Little Mermaid they made?
Yeah.
I just for perspective for you and the two Taiwanese men that watched this, the the Snow White live action movie was supposed to come out before the Little Mermaid movie, almost in 2022. However,
Okay.
it got into so many controversies, along with the whole, oh, changing up of the dwarfs that it delayed the movie over 3 years, where it released this year to a horrendous reception.
Mm-hmm.
I find it astounding how Disney was sooner willing to delay the movie by 3 years and reshoot it like multiple times instead of just telling their main actress, honey, shut up. Stop wishing death upon people. You're supposed to be playing, a Disney princess. They're not usually homicidal. Can you just act normal? 10 minutes. You cost
I like how you
studio
said.
$330
I like how
million.
I like how you said. I like how you said. Usually they don't promote homicide, as if they've done, as if their princess is supposed to do that.
Hey, don't forget, was it Ariel that was it? Which one of the Disney princesses killed the villain? Mulan. Yes, Mulan actually did kill the main villain. Was it not
Oh,
Shao
okay,
Kahn?
that's
Mulan? What?
there should be more stake. There should be more stakes in Disney movies.
What was it? Well,
Like, yeah, kill the villain. There's nothing wrong with that.
that's what you got the Hunchback of Notre Dame for. Unfortunately, modern Disney doesn't have the balls to do any of that. Instead, modern Disney has Wish. I let you live here
Wish.
for free. I don't even charge you rent.
I'm not that familiar with Wish.
It was the movie they made, which was supposed to be the celebration of their 100th anniversary. And it was so mind blowingly terrible. People were accusing the songwriter of using AI. Now, I don't know for certain. So I
That's
will,
kind of funny.
but when I start reading the lyrics of a song in a movie, and I notice lines like "I let you live here for free, and I don't even charge you rent," you know, a man can wonder.
Hmm.
Honestly, he better hope
Suspicious.
for his sake that wasn't AI. He better hope that was AI. If that isn't, that's kind of a death blow to your IQ.
That's not great.
Yeah, you're real lucky, Nick. I let you live here for free, and I don't even charge you rent.
That's a good line. Such a good line.
Mm-hmm.
When are
Fantastic.
you
I
gonna get
want
your
that
When are
printed
you
on.
gonna get your own place?
Uh, in a while. I mean, I don't really have any reason to get it yet. I got
Okay,
college to finish up. I got money to
that's
save up,
right.
and
How's college going?
I am almost finished with it. I'm taking geology and Minnesota
Gross.
natural natural history and field biology. Because despite the fact I'm taking an English major, I need multiple science credits for some reason.
Okay,
Mainly to pad out the college's budget, but not resentful about
fair.
that at all.
So, what's the degree that you're getting? I don't remember.
English writing.
Right. And then what's the plan?
Main plan is to once I'm done with college, well, at least 2-year college right now. It's to
Hmm.
basically keep grinding away at employment, get some more money saved up, and then find a career path like writing or electrician or political party analyst or something like that I'll be good at. So
I think you can become a teacher.
maybe a lot of people have said that.
I think that could be a decent avenue for you to go down.
One, what was I about to say? Yeah, I'm not that interested in moving out in the anytime in the future, like at least right now, because when I went over it in my head, I'm basically would just be paying a hell of a lot more money just to be a lot more lonely than I am right now.
That's
It's
why
no
you got to
real.
make some new friends.
Well, I do have friends. I'm just not
Also,
moving
what
in
the
with
fuck
any
are
of
you
them.
calling me lonely?
No, I'm not. That sounds like projection to me. I know you live in Chicago, Nick, but not everything, is doom and gloom.
Yeah, Chicago's great. It's a great city.
Mm. Sure thing.
I enjoy it more than
But,
I've been living in Minnesota. Like I was getting really sick of living in Minnesota. Like I've seen too much of Minnesota. I was tired of it.
like what part? The winters or
I don't know. I feel like I've just kind of seen everything. Like I needed something different in my life.
I can understand that.
So that's why I moved out here, and I do like it more. I've always wanted to live in a big city anyway, because well, for one thing, I don't drive because I hate driving with a passion. Um, but also just because I think I thrive more in a big city than the fucking suburbs. Like suburbs to me is just pure hell.
What are you saying about my living environment?
I mean, I'm just saying,
We have
not
a
the
lovely
best.
time out. Look, I've been to downtown Minneapolis and I've been to my home, and I prefer my home.
I mean, okay, here's what I'll say about both downtown Minneapolis and also Chicago. No matter what big city you go to, there is going to be some problem areas. That's just what you
I've
get
been,
for going to a city.
I've been through Minneapolis. There's no areas of that city I've found that aren't on the very outskirts that aren't problem areas.
I don't know. I personally wouldn't agree with that, but what I guess that's whatever your opinion. I guess.
Well, what were we even talking about?
I don't know.
I've seen and I know this is kind of late, but
I've still never seen the original.
well then I still recommend it. It's a very good movie.
Okay.
Gladiator 2 is the. Have you seen that one?
No.
All right. Well, Gladiator 2 is a sequel to Gladiator 1, obviously. Now,
Yep.
in real life, after what?
What?
What? You
I
said
don't know.
something? Well,
Did I?
anyway, I don't remember his name, so I'll call him Dave. Dave lives in Mauritania, which was a real country at the time period. Now, Mauritania gets invaded by the Roman Empire, and he has to defend his home with his wife against the Romans. Now, the first thing I'll criticize is now this will let me be very specific here. Uh, the LA aesthetics getting painted over, medieval society. The same thing happened in The Witcher. Now, what I mean by this is that in real life, the Numidian people, that's the people that lived in this country at the time period. The Numidians are a Berber people. Now, the Berbers are not Africans. They're not black. They're not Arab. They're not European. They're more of a mixed group, kind of Arab, kind of white. And the thing is,
Mm-hmm.
they're not some long lost civilization. There's like 80 million of them at least. They're still around today, and they were the population of that country. So I had more than a bit of an aneurysm when I started seeing the racial makeup of the kingdom in the movie. And then I started noticing, okay, the king is black, a quarter of the city is black, half the city is white, and not even like, Italian white, which would make sense. It's like blonde haired, blue eyed, like full on Aryan white, which would never be in that place at that time period. And they have like 1/5 of the city is Chinese. There's like entire groups of the soldiers during the fight with the Romans who are just comprised of Chinese guys. And it's like it just infuriates me to no end that with this and Napoleon, they're like, we represent history. You in any other movie, you would complain endlessly if an African country wasn't represented by African people. You have like almost 100 million Berbers you could have cast for these roles. Arabs, if you wanted to go to connected group, but instead you went with the Chinese, Africans, and blonde, blue-eyed people for the city's population. Really? Uh,
Yeah, I remember.
it
I
was
remember you
just
having this kind of same thing with Napoleon too.
yes, they're very similar. They're very similar in the fact that neither gives a shit about history in the slightest, but they absolutely will pretend they do, so that they can paint people's opinions on it for the worst.
Yeah.
So anyway, our
What would you
friend
rate it?
Dave go 2 out of 10. I haven't genuinely dog shit. Our friend Dave gets captured and enslaved by Pedro Pascal, who plays a frowny face the entire movie. He's supposed to be this serious general plotting against the two insane emperors this time. Now, here's the thing about Pedro Pascal. He keeps getting cast in serious roles. I honestly think he's a better comedic actor. I think he should be in more comedies. Uh, what's that movie he did with Nick Cage?
Um, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talents.
Yes. Excellent movie. But in that movie, I noticed that Pedro Pascal, when he's given a comedic role, he can be very energetic, very expressive, have a wide range of facial expressions. Great actor for comedies. I noticed with Gladiator 2, with these serious roles, he kind of pulls the same exact slightly frowning face for the entire movie. And I'll be honest, I think that might actually be a problem for him because I don't think he knows fully what to do in a serious role. But like like it sounds weird to harp on, but like the expression on his face doesn't change whether he's seeing his wife after a year of campaigning or if he's watching like 100 of his troops get ambushed and killed on the beach. There's like no change in his facial expression whatsoever.
That's really funny.
Anyway,
Although it's also really funny because
our
he's pretty expressive in The Last of Us.
well, I admittedly haven't seen that show yet, so maybe he is, but it's just one thing I noticed in the movie. Um,
Yeah.
our hero Dave, he goes to Rome. Just like the first movie, he's a slave gladiator. Just like the first movie, there's a black guy that helps him, but in this case, the black guy, he wants to overthrow Rome. He also hates it, but but so they go through this generic plot of fighting, for the throne of the empire. And one thing I do want to mention is I noticed about halfway through this movie, it has almost no soundtrack at all.
That's a weird
Which,
choice.
well, they do have like the first movie had a fantastic soundtrack. It was very iconic. There are some bits of this movie that do have music, but they're kind of like generic action movie music is the only way I can describe it.
That's unfortunate.
Like if you like it's the kind of music where if you look up Edge of Tomorrow soundtrack or Gladiator 2 soundtrack, the soundtrack, it exists. It has names for its
Yeah.
songs. But if you didn't Google it, you would never remember it existed. And
Yeah.
I'd say for like over 50% of the movie, there's no music at all. Like there's a scene, the dead center of the movie. The main hero, Dave, the two insane emperors throw him a sword and order him to kill someone, an innocent soldier. Now,
Yeah.
this should, musically, if this was the first one at least, this should have something to emphasize. Is he going to kill, this person, to gain more power? Will he refuse and get punished? If he does get punished, will they kill him? And it's just dead silence completely. Anyway, the the end of the movie, the black guy kills the two Roman emperors, and he somehow gets the garrison to try and destroy the city of Rome, which did not happen at all in real life. But I'm just being pedantic at this point. The it turns out it turns out Dave, who hates Rome, was actually the long lost little boy from the first movie that the main characters saved. Now,
Uh-huh.
he's the prince, essentially. Now, what they explain is that after the first movie, they were afraid there was going to be a coup. So Dave's mom put him on a horse and told him to ride for safety. He rode that same horse from Rome to North Africa, which so there's a small problem with this plan. It's called the Mediterranean Sea, which I don't know if this is a sign of like the fluoride or IQ going down or what, but did nobody on this writing team fucking remember the Mediterranean exists? Because
Apparently
they
not.
show specifically. The thing is, they show the horse. It leaves the city of Rome. The kid's riding on it. It
Mhm.
flashes then to the kid riding into North Africa on the same horse. This is 1,000 miles away with an entire sea in between. Is this horse related to Jesus? Did it walk on water? How did it get across? Anyway, the epic conclusion to our tale is our boy Dave. He rides out to all these Roman soldiers who were trying to kill him because there's a group
Mhm.
of Romans from the outside trying to storm the city and kill the black guy. And he tells the Romans from the outside and inside of the city to stop fighting and they should, work together. And he gives the least inspiring speech I've ever heard in my entire life, where he says, "Oh, they said, he says, oh yeah, the dream of Rome, it's dead. But if we all work together, we can find it." It's like, you said it's dead. I'm sorry. It's such a negative IQ speech. And then right after he says this, it plays the dramatic, hopeful music. All the soldiers throw down their weapons. Keep in mind, literally none of them would know who he is, according to the own logic of the story. In
Yeah.
the first movie, the main character was was a massive general. This guy has been in Rome for about a week as a slave, and then they act like, "Oh yeah, I read the script. He's the prince." And then he with the black guy into a river, a 1 inch river. He drowns the black guy in the 1 inch river, and then he somehow becomes emperor of Rome. The end.
Made
That
millions of dollars, probably.
I think it was a failure, but the fact it made any
Oh,
money at
really?
all, or at the very least, it was not the stunning success they thought it would be.
That's really funny.
I mean, when you have Jesus the horse, I mean, how can it go wrong?
Jesus the horse. Ridley Scott wrote it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that sounds
I
about
think
right.
Ridley Scott movies.
What?
I think I think he should stop writing movies. I think he needs to quit while he's ahead.
Well, he's also like 80 something too, so old people.
True.
Put him in a home.
Mm-hmm.
Put him in a
Yeah.
home so he can be pushed down a flight of stairs.
No, no, disavow. Is Ridley Scott doing that Odyssey movie?
No, that's Christopher Nolan.
Oh, yeah. That also looks absolutely horrendous. They got caught using Viking longships as like the Greek galleys
Hmm.
because apparently they also don't understand anything about human history at all.
Maybe you should
I
be the
don't
one that's like
understand
doing these
why,
like historical movies.
probably. What confuses me is like, I admit I'm a nerd for history. I know more than
You
almost,
are.
but I have more passing knowledge about the stuff than almost anyone average
Yeah.
on average.
Yeah.
But you, I do remember, going through school, we did cover like the basic stuff, like the Greeks used galleys. Rome did that at this point, and I don't get
Mhm.
how they're getting worse movies that no less than that. So
Yeah, it's a little weird. We're just in a bad time
and,
for historical movies.
yeah, I mean, I think it's Mel Gibson is trying to make
Ugh.
uh he's trying to make a series on the Siege of Malta, which we'll see how that goes. But you know,
I forgot Mel Gibson
Hollywood,
still
I think.
existed.
Mhm. Uh, you seen the trailer for 28 Years Later?
I have. It's fine.
Are you going to see it?
I don't know because I don't love the 28 Days Later. I think it's a fine movie, but I don't love it. But I might. I don't know yet.
Not my favorite movie, but I'll be honest, the amount of movies in the theater that have been really great have been pretty low for a long while. And honestly, I do think that's part of the reason why something like the Minecraft movie or the Lilo and Stitch movie is making so much money. I think the theater audience is kind of bored of waiting, so they're just going in for stuff,
Yeah.
whatever is mild entertaining. But 28 years later does look genuinely great to me, so I would like to see it in the theater.
I'm considering it.
It is kind of funny and sad though that the only reason it exists is because of a legal battle. They wanted to make
Oh,
20
really?
months later original. Well, the thing is, they couldn't get 28 months later out of development hell with the whole legal battle going on. So they just skipped
Okay.
28 years ahead instead. So,
Interesting. Speaking of Alex Garland, I saw the movie Warfare here in Chicago, hosted by Alex Garland, the director,
really?
which was interesting.
That's cool. How was the movie?
It was okay. It has the best thing about it is its sound design. It's so good. But outside of that, I mean, it's a solid war movie. It all takes place in like real time, which is kind of cool. I mean, I would if you like war movies, I'd recommend it. War movies aren't really my thing, but it's still a solid movie.
Hmm. Yeah. I have seen Battle. Shit. Sorry. I have seen Battle Royale recently.
Oh, I've
That's more
seen
of
that.
an.
That's a good movie.
Mhm. Yeah. Anyway. Mm. Squid Game season. 28 years later.
I have not seen Squid Game ever.
Oh, yeah. Well, all I'll say is season two. They apparently actually just cut the season in half so that there'll be they can make a season three so that they can milk it for longer. That
Oh,
was
that's kind
apparently
of
the
funny.
not really. The ending of the season was quite shite, I must be honest. I'm sorry, I've just waited for like years for them to just make the next season. A lot of people have. And
Yeah,
then for them to be like, yeah, we wanted to milk it for another one, so we're going to make you wait another year. And it's like,
that's annoying.
very.
Yeah.
Anyway, Squid Game season two.
I will say
Just
soon.
take that
I
off.
will say. I will say soon we should wrap this up because I am getting really tired. I've been up since 5 a.m.
All right, apologies. Let me just try and get through this. Do you watch any Invincible?
No, but I've had people tell me to watch it. I just haven't done it yet.
All right, so they made it.
It's
All
on
that topic
it's on Amazon, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Fair. All right. All right. The last main one, I guess, is The Last of Us. Season 2 came out and crashed the show's fan base, which I saw that coming from a mile away.
Well, I mean, part 2 is already the game is already really divisive game. It is kind of you kind of saw it coming. So okay, I really like the first season of The Last of Us. I think it's still really good. And for season 2, there are, of the 8 episodes, 2 of them are really good, and that's kind of it. It
Yeah.
gets really boring.
Well, the thing is The Last of Us had 2 writers. Hold on, let me look up. All right. Essentially there was Neil Druckmann was like one of 3 writers that worked on The Last of Us 1. There was
Yep.
this the guy and girl who wrote it, and apparently the girl who used to write it was like the main, brains behind the operation for The Last of Us. And after Last of Us 1 came out, Neil Druckmann stabbed them both in the back and threw them out of the company through some corporate meddling. And
Yeah,
then
and then
he wrote The Last of Us 2.
he hired a bunch of like yes men while he made the second one.
Yeah, he's also a very mentally interesting individual. Like, The Last of Us is entirely like a zombie apocalypse story. And according to himself, there's like this full interviews of this, like multiple of them. He wrote most of The Last of Us 2 around the Israel-Palestine conflict. Like, the
Yeah, I've heard
Washington
about that.
Liberation Front is apparently Israel, and the Seraphites are the Palestinians. And he's like, stand-in for the Palestinians are like the violent reactionaries that have to be destroyed entirely. The WLF are the good guys. And it's like, Neil, this isn't about you. Like, you don't have to self-insert yourself into someone else's story. But
Yeah, he's a very interesting character.
I'll just say, I find it a bit, coincidental, let's say, that he took over another person's story by stabbing them in the back. And then after he does so, he takes their main character, has him killed off in the start of the sequel, and then makes most of the story of the sequel about his main pet political issue. So
Yeah,
I don't.
yeah, I'm not really the biggest fan of it.
Yeah, I could.
It's kind
Yeah, I
of
could
weird.
see this. Yeah. In brighter news, though, I am playing The Last of Us 1 right now
Good.
on the
Good.
PS3.
It's a good game. I highly recommend it. And if you
Yeah, honestly,
I would totally recommend the first season of the show. It's really fucking good.
I haven't seen the first season yet. I want to finish the game before I give myself any spoilers if I do see the show.
Yeah, that's fine.
Uh,
That's fine.
the game on PS3, actually, I was really surprised. I got the PS3 on Black Friday for like $100. Did you know like the PS3 games are like $10 a piece?
Yeah, they're really cheap.
As long as it's unsealed, you can basically get any game for like chump change. I know you're probably not interested in the PS3, but I just found it, a very nice surprise.
Yeah, I've heard like that and like the original Xbox are always like really cheap with the games.
I'm having a lot of fun with it. There's just one infuriating problem with the game, at least on PS3, from my experience.
Okay.
All right. So it's a post apocalyptic world. Your character has a flashlight. A lot of places are dark, so you keep using the flashlight.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, there's a mechanic where your battery will start to go out after a while, and you need to, I think, shake or tilt the controller. It's supposed to have some motion sensor like with the Wii, but the
Hmm.
PS controller, at least I have, no matter how much you violently shake it around, does nothing. So you just have to deal with
That just
epilepsy
that just
inducing light.
that just sounds like a broken controller.
Maybe it is, but everything else works with it, so it's very infuriating for me.
Interesting.
Other than that, I am thoroughly enjoying the game. It
Good.
is a very
Yeah.
pleasant surprise.
It's a fantastic game.
Mhm. So
Glad
I'm
you're
yet to
enjoying
finish.
it.
I'm yet to see. All right. Maybe for one last recommendation stuff. Games Fest came out recently, and
What's Games
there.
Fest?
Well, it's basically Xbox, Nintendo, and Sony all agreed to kill E3, but for some reason they're still holding their main game conferences around the same time for revealing the new stuff.
Okay.
And I learned that Code Vein 2, well, Code Vein is actually getting a sequel, which I'll talk about that in the next episode. But I have a few games I love, and Code Vein was unfortunately one of them. So the fact it's getting a sequel fills me with just joy. It's amazing. Although I almost guarantee it won't be
Good.
on the Xbox, which is going to kill me because
Probably
I'm
not.
not.
I don't. I don't think they. I don't think they make games for the Xbox One anymore.
Well, I'm in the position where I would like to play, the a bunch of newer games that are coming out, like Code Vein 2, Kazan, uh, what was that? Days Gone. But the problem is, either I'm going to have to spend like $500 to $600 for a console for the privilege of having a disk drive. If I buy the Xbox One, my games from the Xbox One will work on it.
Hmm.
Problem is, there's that would gatekeep me out from like any PS5 game because the Xbox really has no exclusives that PS5 doesn't have at this point, but the vice versa is true.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to spend $600, I want my money's worth in terms of games.
Yeah.
But
That makes
if I do that,
sense.
if I do that, my entire collection from the Xbox One won't be able to go to the PS5. So,
Yeah.
I guess I'm sticking with the PS3. I'll upgrade to that.
Upgrade is a crazy choice of word.
Look, it's a great console, except for the controller. That controller for that console is designed for a goblin's hands. Have you ever
Yeah.
held a PS3 controller?
No, but I've held a PS2 controller.
It it's worse. I admit I
Yeah.
have Shrek. I got full on Shrek hands, and that PS3 controller is like it. It is microscopic. So,
Bro's got big hands.
mhm. Also look up Enna Dream BBQ. It's a surrealist video game that's came out. Rave reviews. I think you might like it. That's my recommendation. Anyway,
Okay.
thank you. All right, this is probably our messiest episode yet, but we got through all the topics. So
So what's our recommendations for next time?
I am not sure, honestly. Do I
Okay.
even, do I even have a recommendation list for you? Have you ever seen Snowpiercer?
No, but I'll watch it.
All right, I think you'd like that one.
It's been on my list
Throw
for
you
a
in like.
while. Yeah, I'll check that out. For you,
Uh,
hmm, I could pick. Well, we already did a sad movie. Let's not do another sad movie. Um, how about Collateral? That's a good movie.
all right, what's it about?
It's a action movie with Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx.
All right.
Super well shot, really fun story.
All right.
I think you'll like it.
All right. Sounds good. Also,
All right.
just as a quick, sorry, just as a quick
What?
addendum, I thought I'd mention that to keep the podcast going, with film topics kind of being a bit slower now, I figured we could do one unique thing for an episode, maybe. So I put you at the
Sure.
top of the script, like maybe all Romero zombie movies or top video games or ranking analog horror, stuff like that.
Yeah, we could do
Just
that. I mean, we did the top 30 movies before. We could definitely do that.
yeah. I think top 30 games would be interesting.
That would be really hard for me.
Like to rank
But
them,
that
or
could
do you
definitely
just
be
not play?
done. I mean,
All right.
I think I've definitely played more than 30 games in my life, but
I'm just
it would
using
just be
that
hard
as a
to think of
guesstimate.
like. I mean, I'd be down to do that.
All right. So, okay. Sorry for the wait.
It,
It's been too long to get to this, but
we'll be back in 2027.
no, I want to actually, commit to this, at
Okay.
least, put in some work on this,
Okay.
despite my schizo ramblings.
You could do it could be like a I don't know, monthly thing maybe.
Perhaps. Let's see. Well, I will let you get to bed. Thank you
It is
very
past my
much, Nick.
bedtime.
Hmm. Well, it's been Duncan Zeminski,
And it's been Nick.
and thank you for watching the podcast. Signing off. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
We need an exit theme. We
Do
already have an
we?
intro theme, right? I thought we did.
No.
All right.
I don't think we have
That'll be on
any
the
themes.
once more. That'll be on the to-do list. So,
Okay.
good night to you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.